Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Welcome back to the regular board meeting of the Millbrae School District of May 2nd. We have just adjourned from closed session. And so we will begin our business. Was there anything to report from closed session?
No action was taken in closed session.
Okay, we'll now stand for the flag salute. Trustee Musa, would you lead us? Flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And once again, there was no action taken in closed session. Move now to approve the agenda of May 2nd. Yeah.
We're doing great up here. I'd like to pull items 4, 5, and 6 from the consent agenda.
Okay.
Well, we can move number 4 to district business. But
So
I'm
those would
pulling
be
5 and
discussed
6.
during district business? Okay,
So move item 4 to district business, and then just pull 5 and 6
to be discussed.
next meeting
Right.
to approve.
This meeting is being recorded for the transcription of the minutes. At this time, speakers wishing to address the board this evening should turn a completed speaker card into the board secretary.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the amendment to the agenda first.
Oh, fine.
I second.
A motion and second to approve the amended agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, motion carries. We now have some presentations.
Thank you. So, Board of Trustees, President Fameth. So these are presentations for our ELOP program. And so our current situation, as you know, we have the ACES program and we have a very small ELOP program, which is after school programming for students at Lomita Park and at Taylor. So our interest is to see about the possibility of expanding the ELOP program to allow for offerings to all students at all sites. Because currently we have Lomita Park and Taylor being served, and with the monies that are coming in for 22, 23, we have the ability to look and expand our after-school programming for ELOP to all sites. And there's a few different options that we can go in. And so these presentations are going to help give information about what the possibilities are. And then we're going to ask for direction as to how the board wants to proceed in the future with our ELOP programming and how we're going to proceed to offer quality after-school care and after-school enrichment and intervention programming for all students. Specifically, remember the ELOP program is designated to address the need of the unduplicated students and other students that might not have the means to pay for after-school programming. And so that's what you're going to see in some of these presentations. And this is a little bit different than we've had in the past. You're going to see from these two presenters, Edmo is going first and LFO is going second. These are two companies that do work in school districts in this arena of ACES and ELOP. And after-school programming there is a component that we have to decide if we want to move forward with offering it for free for students or having a paid parent portion of the program. So that would be on a sliding scale. So students could qualify for free, and then other families that are not do not have students that qualify for free reduced lunch or unduplicated and targeted population for ELOP, they would participate in the program at their choice if they opt in, and there would be a fee for those families to participate in the after-school programming if we went that route. And so these companies have the ability to administer both of those types of programming, in whatever direction we decide as a school district and as a board.
Just a quick question. If we were to offer a paid sliding scale, are there any conflicts with our contracts that we already have in place with some of the existing after-school programs like Happy Hall or?
To be honest, yes. We don't have any contracts in place where they provide services for our students. We just rent those spaces. So those are lease agreements, so they rent the building, but those programs are not affiliated or sponsored by the school district at all. And so those are our fee-based programs, which I do understand they have a sliding scale, but those are not programs sponsored by or partnered with the district for after-school programming, hiring, and anything that goes on in those programs.
I guess my question is, are there any restrictions to offering a program that competes with them?
There are no restrictions that we would be under. We could operate a private-run daycare after-school program, and we could also run an ELOP program on the same site. There are no restrictions that prevents us from having both running in unison. Okay, so up first is Edmo, and I have Eduardo here from Edmo to present. So if you mind introducing yourself, and then the floor is yours.
Director and co-founder of Edmo. We are a 501c3 nonprofit enrichment organization. We've been around for going on 19 years. We have partnered with lots of school districts you may be familiar with. In San Mateo County, we are currently partnered with Pacifica, as well as running programs in East Palo Alto. We also run programs for a little further down south in San Jose Unified, and then all over Northern California. And our specialty is in creating social emotional learning focused STEAM programs. So STEAM being science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And the skills that we try to build through those programs are things like responsibility, collaboration, initiative, problem solving. That's the real impact of what we're doing through our STEAM programs. We specialize in partnering with school districts and co-designing with those school districts to create programs that align with those requirements for ELOP funding, ACES, 21st century. This is all that we do. So we see ourselves not just as like a provider, but really your partner in being strategic and co-designing a program together that is high quality. Now, in Millbrae, I know you've got like a very diverse population of students and demographics. Like Ralph was mentioning, you want to have programs that are free for students, for those families who are considered unduplicated, right? Those are your foster youth, students experiencing homelessness, English second language learners. All those students, those are the students that we would be prioritizing when we're co-designing a program together. Because we know when we're designing a program for students at the margins, we are now creating a program that's accessible to everyone, right? So if we can reach those hardest to reach kids first, then we can open it up and make sure that everyone is able to come. And the quality of it has to be high quality, right? Because if it's a high quality program, then your fee paying families are going to want to sign up for that program too. So that's, again, what we specialize in doing. So I'm going to have a few slides here and that we can go through. So quickly, our mission, we provide equitable access to out-of-school time learning opportunities designed to help every person cultivate that sense of self, own their impact, and show up in the world with curiosity, courage, and kindness. That maps really well when we looked at, and I should also mention, here's some little accolades, and most of this is going to be in your packets. I did add a couple slides at the end though, so there may be some new ones in here too. So some accolades here. We've won Bay Area Parent Family Favorite. We've got that one for like 13 years running. The one we're really proud of is that one in the middle there, the National Summer Learning Association. Only about 60 organizations in the country have ever won that award. They give out 3 of those every year. They've been around for 20 years. And we were the Excellence Award winner in 2020. So definitely, when you partner with Edmo, you know you're getting the highest quality possible, both in your summer and your after-school programs. folks who we look to partner with, we look for leaders who are looking to stand for equity, improve that out-of-school time program quality, leverage the strengths of community partners who have specialties like ours, recognize the importance of whole child development, and want to take this opportunity to make lasting systemic change. This ELOP funding is historic. I mean, it's never been done in the history of this country to invest this much money in after school and summer. So we want to take this opportunity to do something bold, do something different, give kids an opportunity to close that learning gap, reach their full potential, because really that is the most inequitable time in a child's education, right? It's not during 9 to 3. All kids go to school 9 to 3. But after school and summertime, some kids get nothing or very little, and some kids get everything their heart desires. And that's what our purpose is here, is to make lasting systemic change through these after school and summer programs. So we took a look at your vision and your mission statement, and you can see this map really well with our mission and vision. And we really look for that alignment when we're looking for partners, through looking at district partners. So you can see emotional intelligence is in there, promoting a passion for love and learning, innovative learning environments, connect to self and the world. That is just, like, that pulls our heartstrings when we see something like that on a school district vision and mission. Here are some models that some of our common models. So we included these in there because Ralph let me know you guys right now have about a 4-week half-day summer program, and that's what you currently do. So there's a few different ways you can go with this, like in a summer program. So one thing that we can do is like an A+B combo, and that's when a school district has an existing summer program, and then they want to offer it's maybe more academic focused, and then they want to add the enrichment in the afternoon. And that's something that we can do. We have that model, the half-day model. We also have an integrated model. Some school districts say, hey, we want to partner with you more deeply because we want actually your staff and our staff to be collaborating together throughout the entire summer day. That's the integrated model. So your staff could be alternating with our staff. They do, say, math for an hour, then they do rockets or chemistry or music for an hour, and then they go back to academics. That's an integrated model. And then there's a full day EDMO model. Some school districts say, hey, listen, we don't want to do anything in the summertime. We want to give our staffs a break. We don't have the teachers don't want to work in the summertime. We want you to do the whole thing. We can do that as well. And then we can fill up that full day with lots of enrichment activities, those social emotional learning activities. I included a few slides in here around like sample schedules for like a full day. This might not be in your packet, so I kind of added these afterwards, but essentially in a typical day, you'd have about 2 hours of that STEAM enrichment, 1 hour of what we call team time. That's a social emotional learning focus time where kids are building vocabulary around emotions. So we use a tool called Kimochis that help kids identify their emotions with those of these really cute plush characters, and they build their vocabulary around emotions. They're also doing team games, like they come with group names, cheers, songs, skits, all about bonding. We also have the outdoor recreation portion that's organized recreation games that are scaffolded throughout the week to build on those problem solving and teamwork skills. And then of course we have all the camp fun stuff. So we have those rallies, songs, games. The kids are doing pies on Friday. We have Pie Day Fridays, dress up Thursdays. It feels like summer camp. And we'll still incorporate this too in a half-day program. Just your rallies will start at noon instead of, say, 9 o'clock. And of course, you got your lunch and AM extended care, snack breaks. We also have that comprehensive after-school program. So if you're looking for that 180 days every day after school, it's almost like a mini camp every day at school. So kids are getting that academic support, 30 to 60 minutes of that homework help, tutoring. Then we do STEAM enrichment for an hour, and we have that weekly SEL focus as well. One thing I will also mention around our after-school programs, we're really big on trying to integrate with the school day. So our staff will meet with your grade level teachers, figure out what are the kids learning in school, how can we incorporate that into our after-school programs as well. If you have extra sheets or work that you want the kids to do in the afternoon, we build that into the program too. We also have every month a community week where the kids and the staff They come up with the activities for that week that meet whatever community activities might be going on. For example, like in October, we'll have a haunted house, and the kids will actually build that from scratch with the staff. If there's something like particular about Millbrae that like, hey, every May we have this community festival, maybe they might design something for that community festival to bring out there. So always opportunities to reflect the local community. So things that we provide, that strong camp community culture, a co-design framework. We will work with your school district, partner with them through the design of the program, all the way through implementation, and at the end, assessment, see how it went. We do all the staff recruiting, hiring, training, provide all that curriculum. I will also mention we have 4 educators working year-round, designing that curriculum. We do trainings every month with our staff for the following month of curriculum, so that we know that our staff are bringing the highest quality projects and being able to engage the students. We also organize all the supplies for them ahead of time. That's a big deal. So they're not wasting time having to do that on their own. We do student recruitment support, attendance tracking, coordinate with your school admin, all the customer service, and we also have a registration system. Also note our registration system is all built around a family's cell phone, because we've learned that families, low-income families, they may not have an email, or if they have an email, they're not using it very often. So all of our registration is tied to someone's cell phone, because we found that is the most accessible way for them to be able to register. We'll also provide support for families who need to register, and the entire platform is translatable into any language. Some of the high quality factors that come into an EDMO program, again, that strategic design with you. We try to have low student to staff ratios, equitable staff wages. I know recruiting is always a challenge for anybody in this space. So we'll work with you to figure out like what's a rate that's going to work for your community, and make sure that we build that into the budget. We have that in-house educator design curriculum, ongoing PD, a whole support staff too. Like I mentioned, there's a warehouse team, a marketing team, a recruiting team. You have access to our entire team to be your partner in the design and implementation of the program. We'll do continuous quality assessment. So we have surveys that we will put on the field. We have been working with an assessment group called Public Profit to do external assessments of all of our programs. And then we look for those data-driven outcomes. So we look to you as our partners to figure out what was the impact of the summer program or after-school program. How can we measure students who participated in the program versus those who didn't? Of course, this is all unidentified data. We know there's the privacy concerns, but we do want to see what is the impact and be able to measure that with you. So I included some initial recommendations. I mean, we are in May right now. So for us to run a high quality program, we typically take about 3 months to ramp up that program. So I was telling Ralph, I was like, you guys are starting in June. That would only give us about a month to get something off the ground if we wanted to do it for this summer. My recommendation would be, given that short time frame, to give yourselves a high quality program, start in the fall. You can roll over your 22-23 1 year into the next year, your ELOP funds, and take the time and do it right. You can get the requirements are you have to do 180 days of after school programming and then 30 days of intersession programming. Intersession can be any break times, so your winter break, spring break, any of those break times, as well as summer. And it goes on the fiscal year, so you have to get your 30 days between July 1st and June 30th of the following year. So our recommendation would be get your 15 intersession days sometime between the start of school and the end of school. You probably have about 15 holidays, if not more, in there. There can be teacher professional development days. Any of those days you can add additional programming. And then get your 15 days in June of 2024. And if you add the June 15 of 2024 and your 15-day intersession days, you'll have your 30 days plus your 180 days of school year. And you have time to ramp up this program. Give us time to recruit staff, get all the supplies ready and all that as well. Start to recruit the families. We can start recruiting families and registering them this spring for the fall. So we can also do that. Yeah, and then in summer 2024, you could do maybe an A+B integrated model or something in June. You have your summer school, add Edmo in the afternoon or do an integrated model. And then you can add some full days in July of next year, and then you'll get ahead of the curve for 24, 25. You can pick up some of your intercession days in July. Okay, that's it for my presentation.
Questions?
Yes, any questions? All right.
No? You're the man.
So the first thing that comes to mind is funding.
Yes.
How are we going to be funded?
So you have,
Funds.
yes,
Funds.
so you have about $1 million.
It's a total of 1.155 million for the 22-23, which we would have to expend by June of 24. And then if we're going to incorporate ACES, that's another 142,000. So that's where some of the funds comes from. And that's, and then they can explain also that part of the funds comes from a parent-paid portion of the program. So the majority, half the funds is pretty much through our ELOP. And in order to use ELOP, I failed to mention before, but we need to have 30 intercession days for after school and intercession for ELOP for us to meet the regulation of ELOP. And that's what these companies come in and do, is they will come in and run intercession for us, not with our staff, but with their staff. And they will also partner with us with either adding on to summer school, like Eduardo mentioned, or full days in the summer beyond summer school. So the funding is a combination, or we can scale the program back and just have for the unduplicated, and then the funding comes directly from the ELOP.
How about the pay scale? How would that work? People that can't afford the fees. How do you work that scale?
So usually what we do is, we work with districts who have kind of we work with districts who have that kind of blended model or blended population. So what we will do is offer it free to any of those unduplicated students, those target students, and then open it up to anyone in the district on a sliding scale, depending on what you feel like is reasonable for your community. So that's where we're getting it. It's a whole co-design and a strategic process when we design the program. And then you say, hey, no, we think that a family of, this income level, household income level, they could afford this much per month. That seems like a reasonable rate. Great, that's what we'll do. And we'll work on it. Again, we co-design it so everybody's pay scale. The one in Millbrae is going to be different than the one in East Palo Alto versus our Walnut Creek, wherever we are. So we will design it to your community.
So I know we're using ELOP money, but so the kids, we're servicing the kids that need it, right? So are you open to, is there a limit to how many students you're serving, or do you find that out at registration, you meet the kids that need it, and then there's kids that just need an extra program, they're willing to pay for it? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. I mean, one of our goals is to desegregate the after-school and summertime space. Right now there are programs for low-income kids, and there's programs for families who can pay the $450, $500 a week for camp. We want to create a space where everyone can come into the same program and be together. So we would have a fee structure for those fee-paying families, and then also have low free spaces for those families who can't afford anything.
So I'm going to assume you need time in advance when you do the registration, you know who your kids are, then you plan the program accordingly. Because the kids that need the help and the kids that need enrichment, that need plus.
Yeah, so typically.
Right?
Yes, and what we'll do is we'll have a priority enrollment time. So the low-income families or those unduplicated families, they get in first. So usually we'll give it maybe a 2-week, 3-week run time. They get to enroll in first. It flips the model, right? In a normal, capitalistic model, you've got all the fee-paying families come in first, and then you have your financial aid spots that are left over, right? And then and the kids get in. This flips the whole thing on its head. Kids who are low income, who have the highest need, they get priority first. Then we open up the spots for the families who can pay. And if there is staffing shortages, or we're not staffed up, again, we make sure that those high priority kids are in there first. And then as we add capacity and staff, then we can add more fee-paying families as well.
I'm assuming all your staff is trained to work with kids and programming and all that
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely. We do CPR certification, first aid. Like I mentioned, we have those monthly trainings during the school year. For the summertime, our instructors have 60 hours of training per instructor, counselors 40 hours of training per staffer. Our our site directors 100 hours of training prior to the start of program, especially because it's such a short ramp-up time to run a program. You really have to front load that training. And so that adds some cost, but it's going to up the quality of the program.
Yeah, what is your staff-student ratio for like a K-5 school?
So the requirements for ELOP is 20-1 for first grade and above, and TKK 10-1. So we will do that. That's the bare minimum. We try to actually beat that because we don't include our administrative staff in those ratios. Because if you do that, then the minute somebody calls out sick or decides they want to take another job, you're suddenly short-staffed and your ratios are all off. So we will have at least, so we don't count the site director in those ratios. And if the program has 100 or kids or more, we will add in a site assistant as well. So we give ourselves a buffer. And we, again, it's something that we work on with the district to figure out, okay, what's your budget? Can we add an extra counselor, an extra instructor? Can we work that in, again, to get those ratios maybe closer to 1-18, or 1-17, or maybe the younger ones 1-8?
And my other question is, in terms of the consistency of staff at a particular school site, many of these students are in an after-school program for 3 hours a day. And so it is imperative that they see the same teaching staff or your same staff regularly. Now, I understand people get sick, I understand, but a revolving door of different people coming in and out doesn't provide for that bonding that needs to happen in after school. So I was just wondering, what is your, you have the longevity of staff that stay with you for any length of time?
I'm so glad you asked that question because that, again, in our industry, we see that all the time. There's a churn rate. And one of the biggest reasons for that churn rate is because staff are not supported. There was a big survey that just went out to providers nationwide. And when they asked staff, you know, why do you get into this? Or why do you stay in this program? It's not the money, right? It's the stress that they endure is what actually gets people out of the system, out of the after school and the summer program system, because they're not supported. A lot of times staff are thrown in with no training, very little curriculum, you know, meager supplies, and they're like supposed to just figure it out. At Edmo, everything is very structured. So we have those structured kits, supplies are organized for them. They have those monthly trainings. They can video call one of our lead educators at any time. So that's going to help. So when they feel supported, then they're able to be their best selves with kids. And guess what? Now they're feeling fulfilled in that job. And then when you're feeling fulfilled, that's going to make you stay. And some good equitable wages too. That doesn't hurt.
I know that Camp Edmo model for the summer, and that's always been good fun. My kids did not attend, but I always remember seeing your flyers and thinking, oh, that would be fun to join. But I think one of the questions I have is, you know, this ACES and ELOP programs, the ELOP money is relatively new. ACES has been around for a while, but how long have you been running as Camp Edmo ACES and ELOP programs? And then you talked about data, which I'm a big fan of data, and I'm a broken record about this money being meant for not just providing expanded learning opportunities, but really working with our kids to be able to close this achievement gap. So my question is sort of how much experience do you have running ACES and ELOPs? And what data have you collected when you talk about data, and what real achievement have you seen in terms of the outcomes of these kids and how it may or may not affect the achievement gap?
Awesome. So we've been running ACES funded programs for 6 years now. Our first one was with Alameda Unified School District, and we still run programs there. And as far as ELOP, from the very first, the last 2 years that it's been around, we've been running the programs. And so again, we're very familiar with it. And in fact, that's all that we do now. The old model of Camp Edmo with the fee-paying families, we've transitioned completely out of that model, and we're 100% school district partnerships at this point. So this is all that we do. In terms of data, we right now we have family surveys, and so our family surveys, over 90% of our families say that their students were engaged by the program, their staff was enthusiastic and fun, and good role models for their kids. They felt that it had school year benefits, and their enthusiasm for the science, the art activities increased, and technology increased. So we know that families and kids are responding to those programs. And as far as academic data, we have not been able to get as much of that as we would have liked, because this is the first time really that we're having these kind of transformational relationships with school districts rather than those transactional ones. Because in that old model, yeah, we were the provider who just rented the facility, had the kids come, then they left, and there was no trading of data with the school district. Like we didn't, and the kids came for maybe a week at a time, maybe on average 2 weeks at a time. So now we have an opportunity that we have real district partnerships to look at, to gather that data, and we can actually do some comparing of cohorts. We did have a program, we have a program in Salinas. Actually, we partner with Alevo in Salinas, and there's a couple other agencies that are in that collaborative. And what we found was in that program, kids improved their reading skills by over a month, and their math skills over a month compared to students who didn't do that program over the summertime. But I think there's a huge opportunity now to get some real, robust data for more of these district partnerships. And we'd love to be a partner with you on that.
I have kind of a two-part question. What qualities do you look for in the staff that you hire? What are you looking for? And then this is on the other side, how do you do background checks? How do you do reference checks on your people?
So we look for folks who have that intrinsic love and passion for learning, for working with kids, wanting to have an impact in something, again, bigger than just the fun, awesome activities, right? And obviously someone who's looking for more than just a paycheck. Looking for folks who want to have that real, that align again with our mission and our vision of what we want to do, help kids become curious, courageous, and kind human beings. So, overall, I mean, that's the best thing that we're looking for. And then, of course, we want folks with experience who, have either had some experience working with kids, some teaching experience too. Sometimes we can get folks who are in teaching credentialing programs looking to get additional hours. Oftentimes there are instructional assistants or folks who are already working in the school district who want to get more experience. So we try to recruit those staff as well. That was one of the questions I asked Ralph, was like, what's your pay rates right now for instructional aides? Because, we want to be encouraging them to apply. A lot of them already have those relationships with kids. So I think that's one of the most important things is recruiting staff who already have existing relationships. And then sometimes all they need is that extra capacity, right? They need that extra curriculum and training and supports to build their ability to be, even better educators and leaders with kids. Was there a second part to that question?
Yeah. How do you do background checks and reference checks?
Oh, yeah, we do fingerprint background checks, everything. I mean, yes, all of that.
Their requirements, because their partnership with the district would be the same requirements that we would have to go through the DOJ, the FBI, a full background check in order for them to partner with the school.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Couple logistics questions, sorry. Our ELOP funding needs to be spent by June 2024? July or June? Okay. And then also, do you provide transportation? So for example, I know we'd love to offer ELOP to all the kids in the district. It may or may not make sense to offer it at every site. So is that something that you work with other districts in terms of providing transportation to and from different sites?
No, we do not provide transportation. Typically, that's something the district would provide, and we definitely have districts who consolidate sites, especially in the summertime. So you may have 4 or 5 elementary schools, but maybe you only want to run a summer program at 2 or 3. I do believe you do have to then provide transportation to those sites, but that's not something that we would provide. Likewise, nutrition, that's another one that we don't provide.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Eduardo. Okay, as we're transitioning here, I'm going to introduce Shane and his team with Alevo. I said that correctly. I didn't watch the video as the pronunciation, but I think Alevo is the correct pronunciation. Alevo. Sorry, please send me that video. Okay, I will let Shane and team take it away.
Yeah, perfect. Let's make sure I get the right mic distance. Just tell me to back up or move forward. Yeah, so hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here and share with you. I know you have a printed packet, just like before me. We made some additions and edits to it, so we have you the most up-to-date information. And we'll get you that additional packet after this as well. So to just start off, and there's a lot of information you're going to hear that's quite similar, because obviously we're in a similar space, operating within similar parameters. I'll have a few clarifying points on some of the ELO specific stuff, but obviously we'll deep dive into our program and our curriculum. When I start any of these presentations, I like to just go quickly to my why and why I'm doing this. And ours really is our company's why, which you can see here is to transform the well-being of students so they look forward to coming to school. That's why I've worked in education for over 10 years, why I couldn't imagine myself working in any other industry. And that why really extrapolates to everything we do, which now is a lot of ELO programming. Our story, just a quick background on our founders. We don't have investors. We don't raise, do angel investing or anything like that. We have two gentlemen who were best friends from Ireland, moved to America over 25 years ago and founded our company about 17 years ago. It's gone through a few iterations in that time. But they are the ones that started this and have kept that energy going over the years. I myself joined the program 11 years ago and have helped us get to where we are today. For our programs, as you can see here, for the past 17 years, we've been recruiting, training, and hiring near peer mentors from the community and training them on our SEL WASC accredited curriculum. Even these numbers are a bit out of date as of this year. We're now with over 80 districts across the state, and we are just in California. This is our home. We're down in San Diego, but we work statewide. And we work with over 600 plus schools, 1,000 plus coaches. We call our staff coaches. And we do a variety of programs, whether it's recess, 360 support, and then, of course, our expanded learning program. To give a little bit of context in terms of what we do in this area, I'm going to have Greg come up real quick and give you a little insight into what we do more locally for yourselves.
Thank you, Shane, and thank you, everyone out there. So I'm one of the directors of district partnerships for Northern California, work with multiple counties throughout Northern California, including York County. To give you some local representation, we work with Salinas City, as Eduardo mentioned, in a full-service ELOP program. In addition, we work with San Bruno Park, San Leandro Unified, Berkeley Unified, and San Jose Unified. For me, I like to think strategically because you've hit on a couple things like finding the right people, right? It's critical. We have to find the right people. The other major lift, which Shane will get into in a minute, is that recruitment process. It is a massive lift. And in order to do that, it's really helpful to have healthy existing pipelines. We have a pipeline in the north, we have a pipeline in the south, you're kind of right in the middle there, and that's really, really helpful. Early projections, which we discussed, you're looking at around 30 to 35 staff members. Again, finding the right ones, right? Getting them all through those processes, not just live scans, TB testing, health and safety. There's a lot of steps. So when we think about recruitment, we actually double that number. That's what our target is, but that takes a team to do it, and Shane's going to get into that. So hopefully that gives you some understanding of what's already existing and what we'll be drawing on should we partner with you, which we hope.
So to discuss a little bit about our expanded learning program, we call it our Elevate program. Really, when we do our full service providing, we cover every single aspect of what's required for an ELO program and make sure that it will hold up to any state audits or the required specifications for an ELO program. Obviously, we want our curriculum, which is, I mentioned, WASC accredited, to be something that the kids absolutely love and is something they're excited to come and attend. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that if the state comes and wants to check out the program, that you feel confident being able to say, yes, ask for any questions you want, go to any site, and we'll make sure that we're in full compliance with what the state is looking for. So some of the key tenets for what we do, which is a requirement of ELO, is that homework help, that enrichment, and then sports and SAL infused physical activity games. Those are kind of like the three components that make up a quality ELO programming. Obviously, our metrics of success are listed here: safe and supportive environment, student engagement, healthy choices behavior, diversity, access, and equity, program quality, and program management. And I have a few slides that are going to get into some of the specifics of that. So the Alevo difference is it does take a team. I have myself been working for the better part of 2 years, learning everything there is to know about ELO. It started with what is ELO and what is this funding source and how are our lives all about to change. And it's gotten to the point now where I had the opportunity at a CISC conference up in Monterey a few months ago to co-present with the Palmdale School District about the work that we've been doing with them in a full service capacity that we got to start day one of this school year. And I thank them every chance that I get for sort of being the guinea pig in this programming. And I don't know how many districts have benefited from the partnership that we've had with them and actually the partnership that we had with Salinas as well. Some of the things that make up our program, recruitment is a massive, massive part. Greg alluded to it a little bit. The main difference between us and a lot of people in the space that we exist, I'd love to say we have some magic secret sauce for how we find our people and how we make our program quality, but we don't. At the end of the day, it is a numbers game, and we have decided to make internal investments in our program so that we have the people in the right spaces to get the staff that's required, to keep them employed, and to make sure that the program deliverables are high quality. So the team that we have that purely looks after the recruitment and processing of staff in the state is about 75 people who combined work 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, just finding and placing coaches, again, we call them coaches, throughout the state. And it's that kind of lift that has allowed us to, as of today, work with just north of 35 districts doing ELO programs this year. We work from anywhere from schools or school districts that have 2 to 3 sites up to districts such as San Diego Unified and other districts that might ask for 300 people from us. And at the moment, we're probably the only company in the state that can actually say yes to that, just because of the investments that we've made internally. Now, it does obviously take some time. We can't do it next Monday, which I've been asked a couple times. But we do have the ability to staff and scale. Training, it's the same thing. Our team on the training side matches our team on the recruitment side. So these are people that are boots on the ground, on site, coming to schools to deliver support to our coaches to make sure that once they're hired, they're not left alone. They have people there that they can rely on. They have people there that they can come in and model behavior so that they feel comfortable and competent in what they're delivering to the students. Operations, we have a whole management tier, and I have an org chart that's going to be very helpful to see what these positions are and a description of them. I won't read through all of them because it can get a little intense. But it's a very large team that's put in place to, again, provide a quality program that will stand up to the state's expectations of this funding. Our curriculum, we're wildly fortunate. There's a woman whose name is Kristen Henry. She did curriculum development for Newport Mesa. We were able to have her come onto our team a couple of years ago and design curriculum that within the last year received WASC accreditation. I had nothing to do with getting that accreditation, but I know the people on our team that worked on it spent a lot of time and a lot of months. I don't know if any of you have gone through WASC accreditation. From their faces, it did not look like it was fun. But we're obviously thrilled as an organization to be able to say that about our curriculum. And then our marketing and our platform. Ralph and I had some great conversations about what we're trying to accomplish with ELO, and we'll get into the paid portion piece for students, but it's the UPP students that and was mentioned perfectly before. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to deliver quality program, high quality program to students who obviously I think deserve it the most. We as an organization have typically worked with Title I funding, Title IV funding. we work with lower socioeconomic districts, and that's what we've been doing for the past 17 years. And now we have an opportunity because there's finally the funding that matches that. When you're working with Title I funding, it's you and 1,000 other people that are hoping to have that funding be put towards their program. The state has finally allocated funding that can only be used in this area, and they have themselves said they don't want to see districts holding on to funding or trying to be fiscally responsible and just run bare bones program. They want to come onto sites and see fantastic, high quality, robust programming. And fantastically, they put the money there to be able to deliver it. So the marketing piece of that is making sure that we're making that aware to families so that we're providing the district with any materials that you might need to market to them. We also have what we call an Alevo street team. It's a branded van. We come out to back to school nights and parent nights. A lot of times a family, I mean, I'm a father of 2 young ones. Sometimes you just want to meet and have a chat with the person that you're going to hand your kids off to. And getting to know them a little bit and getting to, get a feel for the team has a little bit of trust and allows people to sign up and take a bigger commitment to what they're going to get involved in. And then the last one is Brightwheel. I don't know how many people are familiar with Brightwheel. It's been typically used over the years as a like an after-school parent app. It allows parents to see what the kids are doing during the day. They can see photos and videos, but now they've expanded to support ELO programming. So it allows us to do all of our attendance, all of our check-ins. It makes that process super simple. We worked with a lot of different districts who are working with different community-based organizations that found themselves using subpar software that sometimes resulted in long check-in lines. If the first half hour of your ELO program is just trying to check everyone in, you've just wasted a half hour where you could be working with these students. So the Brightwheel app, every staff member that we send has an iPad. It has every student's name, a big green check button. You move them through, you get them right into food services, you get them right into homework help, and then you get them into enrichment or you get them out in the field running around having a good time. So Brightwheel does all that, and it has that parent engagement piece as well. I'm going to try to move through a little bit quicker for some of these slides, but this is an example of how we recruit the people that we bring into our organization. Obviously, we work directly with districts if they have recommendations for staff, but a lot of it is our college networks. We have people called directors of university partnerships. They go to colleges, they meet with the dean, they meet with education departments, and we try to find ways in which we can get in front of large groups of people that have like-minded ambitions professionally, and then bring them on. The great thing is that a lot of these students, they're required to have a certain amount of hours working with kids. So we try to find that sort of, symbiotic relationship where they need the access, we have the ability to bring them on and work with them. Greg mentioned the large existing pool of candidates that we have. Then we have other referrals and street teams, media blitzes. Again, you have to cast a very large net, and then you have to go through a process of making sure that people who are maybe interested in the position but are not good fits are put aside, and you identify the people that are going to thrive in that environment. This is our recruitment process. I swear I'm not going to go through all 9 of these steps, but you can kind of see for yourself. We get that organization of leads. Greg kind of alluded, we're projecting about 32 staff members that are going to be needed for this position. That means that we need to advertise to probably 150 people. Because of the 150, we're only going to send offer letters to maybe half of that. And then when you get through this process of step 1 through 9, you have attrition. You have people who drop out. You have people you say you have to get live scanned, TB tested, you have to come to a field training, you have to do XYZ, and now the number starts dwindling lower and lower and lower, and you need to make sure that when you get to the end, you have the amount of people you need. And again, no secret sauce, you just have to be able to go find that many people who are interested. A little something different that we do as well, we made this decision about 5 years ago. I think it's the single most impactful decision we ever made. We implemented something called floater coaches. So this is something that we take a percentage of what a district requires, and then we add those staff on at no cost to the district to be there every single day working. So if we need 32 people, we'll probably have about 40 placed within the 5 sites that are going to be working. And the reason for that, car accident, family members ill, COVID close contact, we need to make sure that that session isn't missed. So we have a full-time team where if a coach calls in and says, hey, I'm not able to make it today, we don't have to scramble. We just call one of the floaters and say, hey, you're at this school site today. You're going to go over to this school site to fill that position. We're going to get to some of the data that we have in a second, but the percentage of missed sessions since that implementation plummeted. And that's why I say I think it's probably the most impactful decision we made as an organization. I hope while I was talking, everyone was kind of reading the other deal, so I won't spend time going through that. This is the org structure. This is what delivers the program. Greg, myself, we get opportunities to like I met with Ralph and kind of talk about who we are, what we do, what we can provide. But once day one hits, it's not us making anything happen. It's the team that you see here. So we have an operations manager that will look after a region. We have a regional manager that's district assigned. So you'll have one regional manager assigned specifically to Millbrae. We have quality assurance coordinators, training managers, program managers, site success managers. 4 different positions that all have their own responsibilities that are boots on the ground people. So they'll move around the county and we'll make sure that they get to different school sites. They typically get to a school site at least multiple times a week to be able to train, shadow, support, and just make sure that the quality is at a level that, again, if any single day an audit happens, you're more than confident to have anyone go out to a site and see what the program looks like. Site coordinators below that, each of the sites that we're at, and I have a proposal that I'll walk through again quickly. They're kind of like the CEO of the school site. They run everything. They look after the team that's there. And then for us, we call them attendance coordinators, but they're that secondary support person. Anytime we have a program of 50 kids or more, we have that secondary person, which from the projections Ralph and I were talking about, I think every school site will have one. And that's all baked into that proposal. These are the descriptions of those roles. Again, this will be printed and shared, so I'm not going to read through it now. But just if anyone's interested in specifics of what they all do, that's what makes up that team. Moving on to our curriculum, I mentioned a few times that we have a WASC accredited curriculum. I'm going to jump right to what the ELO specifics of our program looks like. This is kind of the breakdown of our ELO. We have that STEAM enrichment platform covering art, STEM, humanities, dance, music. We also have SEL and PE games, as well as a standalone sports section. For the enrichment portion, all the equipment is provided. Our logistics and shipping office works with the district. We ship out a box a month in advance for all the materials needed for the program. We also right now, moving into next year, because this summer is always when you kind of retool and replan. We're having a few very exciting conversations about collaborative partnerships that we're going to enter into. We've had discussions with Lego and a few other larger organizations to come in and really drive maybe some of the engineering or coding or things that we could do, but we don't want to do a substandard version of. So we might go into partnerships with a few different organizations that could provide that curriculum piece. Again, this will all be in the handout that we share with you, but this is an example of a 3-hour program. We do warm welcome, snack, conversation starter. We like to get right into SEL and PE or sports to get them moving. It's the end of the school day. They don't want to sit around and do something. They want to get active. We do a brain break, which is a calming SEL focused 15 minutes. We do homework helpers, a second brain break. We go into that enrichment portion. We do an optimistic closure, and then we do final pickup. We work in between there. You can see in the morning it says that snack portion. We have districts that say, hey, we have a specific time our food services needs to do. All fine. None of this is firmly set in stone. We just try to do as much work as we possibly can so we don't leave it on you guys to have to come up with a plan. But if you need certain things tweaked or changed, we try to make it as collaborative as possible. For the curriculum itself, something that we're really, really proud of because we've heard a lot of struggles that are out there at the moment, that is TKK and middle school curriculum. I was about to pick one as the tougher one, but honestly, they both are challenging in their own right. We have a 1st through 6th grade curriculum, but we've put so much time, energy, and effort into our TK, K, and 6th through 8th grade. Curriculum and programming is not and cannot be a one-size-fits-all. You can have the same theme, you can have the same goal, but if you don't have specialized TK, K curriculum and you're trying to do a one-size-fit-all, it just will not work. Yeah, I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, so I know every single day that they can't do the same activity. There needs to be specific supports for that. So this just dives a little bit into how and what our focuses are when we get to those groups. But we do have those 3 bands of deliverables. Sample of a weekly schedule. Again, not going to read through all of it, but you can see there's an SEL focus. We have games of the week, an ELO theme, like week 1 is World Travelers. And then every single day, day 1 through 5, we'll have one of those different STEAM components that we focus on. So you can see week 1, we have 2 days of art, a theater focus, a music focus, and then a STEM focus. And that changes every week, the theme, and the deliverable changes every day. We want to make sure we're continuously mixing it up for the kids so they're excited every day and not thinking they're going and doing the same thing. Now we get to the data and the reporting piece. We've been super lucky to have a few partnerships over the last couple of years that have been tremendously supportive. One is that we have a relationship with Michael Funk, who's the director of expanded learning for the state. We were incredibly fortunate to do one of his fireside chats back in October, which actually I mentioned it earlier. Palmdale was a district that we worked with. It was us, the Palmdale director, not the after school director because they didn't hire that till mid-year. And then Michael Funk, and we got to discuss what we did, everything we learned over the first couple months. And we've been able to chat with him a few times over the course of the year. He's been able to give us some insight and some guidance into what the state's looking for, especially from this data and reporting piece, which, as you can imagine, hearing it from the gentleman who oversees the whole program, it's very, very helpful to pick that person's brain. The other group that we work with is Capital Advisors, Kevin Gordon and Jack O'Connell. We meet with them weekly, and they really allow us to know kind of which way the wind's blowing from a legislative standpoint, from May revise, making sure that we're just putting our focus in the right area so that when it comes time for those audits or for that program quality check, that we're exactly where the state is hoping people will be. So these are our metrics of success. We follow based on the CDE's 11-point plan. Those are the main things that you need to make sure that you're delivering on. So we have data and reporting to cover that, but then we have additional data and reporting. And this is just to give program insight. So this is an actual district. We removed the name because we didn't want to share that information out, but it covers a little bit of some of the areas that we focus on. Our CQI, our continuous quality improvement process, documents a few different areas. The first one is that Alevo impact. So here we had 715 students served, about 15,000 hours of program that was deliverable, which I think really just kind of gives a good sense of the lift. The missed session rate, 0.08%. Love it to be 0, but I'll take 0.08. We then have a net promoter score. That's just asking every single principal or site lead for a program, how likely on a scale from 0 to 10 would you be recommending the program to another school or district? And you can see low is between 0 and negative 100, 0 to 30 is medium, 30 to 100 is high, and we had 90 and 92 NPS in this particular district, and that's pretty common for the scores that we see statewide. Survey questions, obviously, has Alevo helped me do my job? Do students feel safe and secure? Those are other questions that we ask of principals, but then we do have a student survey as well. It's not listed here. We do also have a parent survey that sometimes can be really supportive for districts and especially for boards to make sure that the community at large is enjoying the experience. But for student surveys, we ask 3 core questions. If I need help, there's at least one Alevo coach who can help me. I feel safe and supported with Alevo coaches, and I look forward to being with friends at Alevo. You can see here the scores that we got were tremendously high in yes. And then we also ask questions to establish a student well-being index, which is something that just helps not only us be aware of how our program's making an impact, but also can hopefully provide some helpful information for the district in terms of how their students are answering that question. So now we get to the actual proposal for what we're discussing. I know I had the well-being of chatting with Ralph and working through some of the projected numbers for this year. Obviously, this is all projected because we would have to do marketing and enrollment and start moving through it. But based off some of the information Ralph gave me, we were looking at about 350 projected students across 5 elementary schools. Based off of your district's UPP percentage, and we were able to break that down by school, we were thinking we're going to receive about 140 UPP students, about 210 non-UPP students, those non-duplicated students. Again, this could fluctuate and probably will, but the proposal that we have takes that into consideration. But obviously, the sooner we can start planning towards something, the more work we can get done. We see about 5 site coordinators and then 27 coaches. These ratios were discussed earlier, that 20-to-1 ratio and that 10-to-1 ratio. Those are also the ratios that we try to maintain, but because those floater coaches positions that we have in place, we typically see lower ratios at schools that we're working with that as well. Again, those site coordinators and those attendance coordinators, those are non-student facing positions. They're the ones that oversee the management, parent communication, execution of the program. The proposal would be for a full year of after school, that's at 180 days, and then those 30 intercession days. My projection is that it would be about 27,000 hours of program. So again, I mentioned we're doing this with about 35 districts. Boards and district staff and parents, and I think the state itself is starting to really wrap their head around how massive of a lift this is. This is not an easy thing to do. And I think there was a lot of expectations that people would be able to get going quite quick. But when you start really breaking down what you're going to provide, I think everyone starts getting a better sense of, how much work needs to go into making this successful. Definitely not reading through all this, but we got bell schedules from every single district or every single school in the district. We try to be very meticulous with the way that we map out everything so that we make sure, again, we're completely compliant with ELO, but that we also have everything set. So we have hours here. We break that out into how many hours everyone would be working each day, how many staff positions we need between site coordinators, attendance coordinators, TKK, 1st through 5th. And then below is just how many hours are happening through the district. So on Monday, if we need 32 staff, we'd have about 112 hours being done in a single Monday. Pushing that out to an entire year, this is what a calendar looks like. This is your district calendar, just kind of redone in our Alevo setting. But it shows every single day what the projected amount of hours that would run. And again, you get more kids signed up, these numbers go up. If less signed, they go down. But at least you always know what we're providing. None of this is in your packet or printout, but it will be in the follow-up. So finally, the cost of the proposal. And this was a long conversation that I had with Ralph about how we would go about this with the funding that you receive. The great thing about how specific this funding is, it allows an organization like ours, who I'll be completely honest, is typically 2 to 3 times more expensive than a regular community-based organization. It allows us to know the funding that's available to a district and allows us to enter into a partnership in advance, and we know the amount of funding that's available, and allows us to be more efficient with the way we execute our programming, and it allows us to use those efficiencies to drive down our costs and then pass those discounts on to the district. We're now able to support districts that we've never been able to before because we're aware of what funding is available, and we know that it can't be earmarked or sent to usually the 1,000 other things that go to like LCAP funding and Title I funding. So a little over 1,039,000, that's 90% of your ELO budget. We typically try to leave anywhere between 5 to 10% of an ELO budget for other district initiatives. Ralph and I have had some great conversations about providing space for teachers that might want to do intervention or might want to do their own enrichment options, making sure we're leaving the funding. And sort of the projections that we were seeing through our conversations is that this would provide that opportunity to do so. We as an organization are also going to be very supportive of teachers who want to step into that space. So if they want to meet with us to get ideas of how to build an after school framework, how to deliver a piece of curriculum, we'll work with them so that they can build that out and have the confidence to dive into maybe doing, a one day a week program or 3 day a week program where they can do something they're passionate about, or provide intervention, whether it's reading or math or whatever they might want to work on with their students. For the ACES program, I know some of the questions were about ACES. We've been doing ACES programs for about 10 years, so we're quite familiar with ACES programs. We've also been running ELO programs since the funding became available. For ACES, it's about 95% of the ACES budget, which is about $134,000. And then the last portion is that anticipated funding from parent paid portions. So meeting with capital advisors has been super, super helpful. I know there was some conversation earlier about how do you know the scale of what you're charging for students. So it turns out that the state is going to provide some guidance on what the different indicators of different student kind of boxes that are checked and how that should relate to a sliding scale for what's being offered. So we're going to be able to get that information from capital and build that into a plan. We asked them in terms of what would be a good rate that would be acceptable by the state and would hit well with parents. And their recommendation was $100 per week for after school and about $200 a week for intersession. After school really ranges anywhere from maybe 3 to 5 hours, depending if you're TK, you get out early, or you're an older kid, you get out later. But the intersession is 9-hour days. So it's usually about double what that is. So it's kind of nice way to keep that simple. In terms of the total district cost, or the amount that would be put forward by the district for this partnership, it would be that 90% of ELO and that 95% of ACES. And our projection is for 32 staff. But if our marketing campaign is working, the program's quality, and more kids start signing up, we don't come back and ask for more funding. We know the amount of money that we have available to us, and we send as many staff as you need for the entire year to hit the numbers that you need. It's because we know we're entering into something months in advance, and we know the funding that's there. And then for your district, those sub 75% school districts, it's that last piece, that paid parent piece for the students that the state is identifying is acceptable to charge. There's some over 75% districts that are looking into a parent piece. I won't go into that because that doesn't apply, but yeah, we're learning stuff every single day. But this model will allow us to execute the program, provide you the amount of staff that you need, regardless of if your numbers keep rising, which they hope they do, because the more students that sign up means the more people we're supporting. This is just a quick quote from Jack O'Connell, the former state superintendent. It says, Alevo is the perfect ELO full service partner. They have a rare, incredible experience delivering high quality programs that complement the school day for over 17 years. Which is not a bad way to end my presentation, but yeah, so I'd love to answer any questions. I know a lot were already asked, but anything else I'd love to cover either again, or if you have anything specific for myself.
I do want to clarify that over 75%, under 75%, what he's talking about is the UPP percentage within a district. So we do not fall within that. We don't have 75% or more UPP students in a district. There are some districts that do, and that's a whole different model. So that's what it is we're talking about. And we're going to bring some board policy as well. That CSBA has updated their board policy on ELOP programs, and that is also mentioned there with the 75% UPP percentage of, and which districts are over that and which districts are under that. So we're going to be bringing that to you in the future as well.
Okay, do we have questions? Karen?
I think clearly you have all the frameworks in the back office and all of these systems that I think are absolutely wonderful. I have not heard of Alevo much in this area. And with these programs, as you say, it's really about the people that you're able to recruit. So you're kind of building this pipeline, I imagine, from scratch. Can you tell me a little bit more? I know you did explain very detailed how you recruit, but can you tell me a little bit more about your presence in this area and how you would quickly be able to get up to speed with the recruitment and the training, because we don't have that many more months to do that?
Yeah, no, of course. So the difference between how we've previously gone through contracts is when someone needs support and they need it right now. And it's typically meeting someone who is either behind executing a program or they just have a service they've been wanting to get done. And usually the conversation is, how quickly can you start? And we then go to our operations team and our recruitment team, and we'll typically do a 3-day recruitment launch, which allows us to get a presence for how responsive an area of the state is. Now, we obviously have a lot of data that we collect regarding how urban or how rural an area is. You know, if I'm recruiting, I'm from Southern California, so it's most of my references, but if I'm in the heart of LA or if I'm in the high desert, we know there's a vast difference in terms of how likely we are to get people. The nice thing is the demographics for your area is a great area for us to recruit in. what we would do is we would send out our initial team. We spend those 3 days doing online posting, college campus recruitment, our Alevo street team. We usually go to farmers markets. We like canvas the whole landscape because again, it's casting that large net. And whenever we know if this is a direction you'd like to move forward in and we get the opportunity to work with you, we do it basically the day after we get that approval because we want as long a window as we possibly can. So once we're 3 days in to that period, which if that's going to be mid-May or June or whatever it happens to be, we have enough window to know, is this going to be an area where we're going to get to that number that we need quite easily? And how many full-time people do we need to dedicate that lives throughout the state? And we have a heavy presence in Northern California. I don't want to make it seem like we have nobody in this area. We have large teams in San Jose. We have teams in San Francisco. We have them in Sacramento. We mentioned the work we've done in Salinas. We started the Salinas program as one of many different vendors working together, and we quickly were asked to be the lead full service vendor for that program, just because of our ability to get staff and management and organize it. So it's that identification period that just allows us to know, do we have to invest more people? Do we have to maybe send a team from somewhere else in the state to go up to Millbrae for a couple of weeks to get us to where we need to be? And it's all just about starting sooner and then identifying what the real lift is once you start getting into the work. But the nice thing is that regardless of where we've landed in the state so far, as long as we have the time frame to do it and we know the lift that is being presented to us, we're able to get the people we need in by the time that the program starts.
Answered a lot of the questions, but it's good when you go in second because.
Yeah, no, a lot of it was discussed and covered. So.
Yeah, your proposal, when you talk about 5 schools, are we planning 5 schools, having the program at 5 schools or 350 students? Are we still doing it?
He's jumping in there.
That is something we haven't quite decided as a district. This presentation helps us have those discussions and help us move in the direction of whether we're going to offer this at every site or if we're not going to offer this at every site. So that's not a question really that we are prepared to answer at this moment without having further discussions with the team and with the board.
So,
But we can be flexible to whatever the ask ends up being.
but the minutes and the coaches and the directors, would that change? Are those based on 5 schools or one location?
Yeah,
Would those numbers change?
So it depends on whether or not the students that were projected to be at a site would end up attending potentially at a different site. And I will say, like, the numbers are kind of rough projections. Like, we really need to, identify the schools first, but then start getting surveys out, start doing enrollment. I will say that for the program itself, if you break the whole program down to like the way that the program is set up, 350 students is probably already about 100 students over where we're able to start passing value back to the district in terms of what we're able to do. So every child over that is going to be a bit of just a net gain for the district. But yeah, that's the hard thing about this process right now is I'd love to say like it's going to be these schools and this amount of kids, but until we figure out the partnership side and then we're able to start reaching out and yeah, exactly. Doing the recruiting, doing the marketing, getting confirmation from the district at which sites they want and seeing what the interest is from parents, then yeah, right now it's a projection just based off of conversations with the district.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Great.
Much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Thank you for the 2 presentations. I do have to say that, the point that Trustee Chin made about our current after-school provider, the Happy Hall will be interested in seeing if they have the opportunity to meet this need for us as well. And so they're scheduled to have a presentation at the May 16th board meeting to see if they, I've been in communication with them and they're going to be interested. They're going to be doing a presentation about what they can offer in the similar realm. And it's only fair that we give them the opportunity since they have the paid portion and they're a private entity on our sites that we're renting to them at the moment.
Thank you.
Sorry. Logistically, when are we thinking about making a decision around all of these programs?
We have to make a decision ideally before June. So we're going to have to discuss how we're going to go about that decision. And I think there's going to be further discussions once Superintendent French gets back. She's doing better, by the way. I know you were asking about that. So I talked to her today. She sounds better. She's moving in the right direction. So things are better. But we're going to have discussion with our team, with Superintendent French, and with the board as to how we're going to make that decision fairly quickly, because we only have a limited number of board meetings. So we're going to really have to, maybe meet again to have this final decision, or get some direction and get a final proposal from the groups, and then look at those proposals and make a decision from the proposals.
Sorry, one last question.
Sure.
We're only talking about ELOP here. What is the conversation around ACES?
So our vision is to have a seamless program at Lamita Park that incorporates ACES and ELOP, and it is the same program for all students. And they would be meeting the most stringent guidelines of the ACES program, but would be using ELOP funding to make sure that that program is running robustly, and that is allowable per the two grants, is to use the ELOP funding to supplement the ACES funding to make sure that all the requirements are met from ACES, and we're also able to run the ELOP program with fidelity as well.
Okay. Move along to public comments. Speakers wishing to address the board on items on the agenda may complete speakers' cards and submit them to the board secretary. Speakers addressing specific items on the agenda will have the opportunity to address the board at the time of the agenda item in the meeting. If you're addressing the board on a non-agenda item, please be aware that the provisions of the Brown Act prohibit the board from acting on or discussing such matters at this meeting. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person per topic and 20 minutes per agenda or non-agenda item. MEA, seeing none. CSEA, seeing none. MEF, seeing none. Oh, very good, thank you. I'm sorry about that. I get into these zones and I just... Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. Members of the community. Okay. Superintendent update. Do you have anything, Ralph? Or?
I do have one thing, and I know that it's on the minds of the board, it's minds of the district and the community. We have an update on the Measure A parcel tax, and the reporting so far shows 70% yes votes and, 70.49% yes and 29.51% no. So we are looking good, and this is 26.1% turnout. I know that we would hope for a larger turnout, but with that small turnout, the results are very favorable at this moment. Remember, we needed 2/3, and so we're above that 2/3 threshold. So it was a deadline of today for postage today. So there's still results to come in, but those are the preliminary results as of, just a couple minutes ago.
Terrific. Good news. Trustee Communications. Does anyone have something? Karen.
Well, Ralph, you took my report because I've been following it as we've been going. And that's exactly, so you mentioned the results, but I really wanted to thank the people who were spending hours and hours of their time. Particularly wanted to call out Samir Tadani, Joy Henry, Vivian Wang, Michelle Chang, and Carol Meyer, who've all been just instrumental on this committee, along with district staff, teachers, board members, multiple parents and students even, who have been waving their yes on A signs all the last couple of weeks. So it's been a real community effort, and I'm super proud of the efforts. While it's only a 26% turnout to date, or at this exact moment, they're not expecting 100%. So, I think this is maybe 50+% of the expected votes, or a little bit more. So they can run the numbers in terms of like what will hold, but let's keep our fingers crossed that we will pass Measure A and that this will be a wonderful win for our community and for this district.
Lynn.
Yes, thank you so much to all of the people on the Measure A team. As I'm not going to reiterate what Trustee Chin had mentioned, but our heartfelt thanks goes out to all of you for putting our kids first and making sure that we're going to be able to provide the quality education for all of our students going forward. So thank you.
Frank?
We slide down here. Well, it's just, I think they spread them out so far. So far, great results. Great results so far. This is fantastic. And I just wanted to shout out to the people that don't have children in the school district anymore, that were on this committee, that really worked really hard to get this passed. So I hope it really does pass and we come in with some positive final results. Real quick, Lamita Park had a barbecue with the Lions Club Friday. And 6 to 8 o'clock, we had 280 people there. It was a really nice turnout, very fun event for the kids. They had a blast. They had Mr. Softy there, which was my favorite. And, it was just a great event. We only had 5 Lions members there, but we pulled it off. All the food went. And so they had line dancing. They had all kinds of things going on with it for the kids. So it was really great. We had a Spring Valley barbecue also. I wasn't there. I could only do one. That was the same day, but the Lions Club said, go ahead, we'll do it. They did it. And we have a Taylor barbecue coming up at the end of May for the promotion. So I'm looking forward to that. Wayne Lee and I will chair that. So that's really good, a lot of fun. So that's about it. Go Measure A.
Maggie?
Thank you. Going last, I just have to say I agree with my colleagues because I'm not going to repeat everything that's been said. But yeah, a shout out to Millbrae. This is how we do things in Millbrae. As a community, we pass measures, parcel tax. And that's something that was so unheard of years ago, but now here we are passing it for the second time. So again, a shout out to all the volunteers and the MEFs and PTAs and parents and kids and everyone that went out. Again, I don't want to repeat everything that's been said. I'm very, very thrilled and very humbled that we were able to, keep our fingers crossed that we got this going. So thank you for all your hard work. And again, I was at the Spring Valley Field Day on Friday. A great turnout. The weather was perfect. Actually, by the time I got to Lamita Park, it was freezing.
It got a little windy.
But again, great outcomes, great turnouts for these community events, even our block parties. Yes, I went to the one at Lamita Park. I didn't make it at Taylor, but I know we had a great turnout, over 600-700 people. And again, families, kids are coming out and being engaged with the community. And this is all about our kids. This is how we keep our kids safe. This is how we give our kids an opportunities, whether it's after-school programs or activities, to keep them coming back, having a place to go and feel safe and having positive place to be in an environment. So again, thank you for all the efforts that the community member put in to make this pass. So.
Yeah, real quick, I want to just give a shout out to Fiddler's Green Restaurant in Millbrae because they are hosting our parcel tax committee right now as we speak. So kudos to them. We're on our way.
And the only thing I can add is it makes me proud to be living in Millbrae when we have these kinds of results. This is the place to be for healthy children, healthy community. So thanks to everyone who's contributed to that. Okay. Consent agenda. We have pulled 3 items from the consent agenda. 4 will be seen in district business tonight, and 5 and 6 we're just taking off for further discussion. Okay. So can I have a?
Can I just interrupt? Number 5 on the consent agenda, is it acceptable to move that to district business as well to have a little bit more information and discussion on that item?
Yes. Be fine.
And then we can bring the Measure Ed on district business to a future agenda item. We don't have to discuss that
Okay.
today. It's not as time sensitive.
Okay, so consent 4 and 5 are moved to district business, and item 6 is going to be considered at a future meeting. May I have a motion? Maggie, second?
Did-
Frank?
Oh, motion to approve as amended? Is that, are we doing a second or first?
That's a first.
Okay,
As far
so
as I
motion
know.
to approve as amended, and then you can second.
Frank, second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
My apologies. Could you tell me who made the second?
Frank?
Thank you.
I just had a question on one of the consent items. I know we approved it. I'm not going back towards that, but on the interest, I noticed, our interest rates are not bad, but they are moving up. And I just had a question as to how we manage that.
There's specific regulations on how interest, it goes back into the account and it's restricted spending. So I can get you more detailed information. I can get you more detailed information specifically about that item at a future meeting.
Okay. Moving on to district business, Resolution 22-2312, National School Nurse Day. Claudia?
Thank you very much. Let me get that for you. Here we go. Trying to take the minutes and keep up. So give me just 1 second to get to that. This resolution is an annual resolution. It is 22-2312, National School Nurse Day. Whereas children are the future, and by investing in them today, we are ensuring our world for tomorrow. And whereas all students have a right to have their health needs safely met while in a school setting, and whereas children today face more complex and life-threatening health problems, require care in school, and whereas school nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and ensuring student academic success for more than 100 years, and whereas school nurses and professional nurses that advance the well-being, academic success, and lifelong achievements of all students by serving on the front lines and providing a critical safety net for our nation's most fragile children. And whereas school nurses act as a liaison to the school community, parents, and healthcare providers on behalf of children's health by promoting wellness and improving health outcomes for our children's community's children. And whereas school nurses are members of school-based mental health teams, and whereas school nurses understand the link between health and learning and are in a position to make positive difference for children every day, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Millbrae Elementary School District celebrate and acknowledges the accomplishments of school nurses everywhere and their efforts of meeting the needs of today's students by improving the delivery of healthcare in our schools, and offer gratitude to school nurses who contribute to our community by helping students stay healthy in school and ready to learn, and keeping parents and guardians at work, not just on this National School Nurse Day, but at every opportunity throughout the year. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Millbrae Elementary School District strongly encourages all members of our community to join with it in personally expressing appreciation to our school nurses for their dedication and devotion to this work. If passed, it would be adopted the second day of the month of May in 2023. So we will shout out to our school nurse, who is Julie Lustig.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Giving it to Lynn.
Hey,
You can have second, okay.
Back to
So
Karen, back up.
Lynn Ferrario first and Frank second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And thanks again to those hardworking school nurses. Next, we have approval of Resolution 22-2313, Employee Appreciation. And I think I'll call on Terry Brenner to.
Thank you very much. I'm proud to bring this resolution before you. Whereas every student has the right to access high-quality educational programs to further their academic and personal success, and whereas quality educational programs are only made possible thanks to the dedicated, talented, innovative, and hardworking educators and classified staff of the Millbrae Elementary School District who use their extensive skill and compassion to provide individualized educational opportunities and supports for students. And whereas the Millbrae Elementary School District acknowledges the challenges faced by our educators, staff, students, and families during the current pandemic that has forced schools to provide instruction through distance learning. And whereas our educators, staff, and administrators have taken on the role of essential workers to make it possible for students to continue to learn during this uncertain and stressful time. And whereas the Millbrae Elementary School District recognizes our staff has gone above and beyond in responding to the needs of students and their families and the community at large. And whereas the Millbrae Elementary School District believes that our employees' response in serving children during these challenging times serves as an example of selflessness, public service, and pride in our community. And whereas now more than ever, teachers, administrators, and classified staff serving our schools now more than ever deserve the gratitude, respect, and recognition of the Millbrae Elementary School District, students, parents, and the entire community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in celebration of our teachers, including National Teacher Appreciation Day, which is today, May 2nd, our classified employees, including during the week of classified employees, which is May 21st through the 27th, and all our administrative staff, the governing board of the Millbrae Elementary School District proudly declares the whole month of May 2023 as Employee Appreciation Month. In making this declaration, the board honors the Millbrae Elementary School District staff for dedicating their lives to promoting the success of our children and our community. Adopted this second day of the month of May in 2023.
Have a motion to approve? Karen, second?
Second.
Maggie? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Motion carries. Congratulations and thanks to all. Approval of Resolution 22-2314, School Lunch Hero Day. Ralph?
Thank you. So I get the privilege of presenting School Lunch Hero Day resolution, whereas nutritious meals at school are an essential part of the school day, and whereas the staff of the Millbrae Elementary School District's Child Nutrition Department are committed to providing healthful, nutritious meals to the district's children, and whereas the staff who prepare and serve school meals help nurture our children through their daily interactions and support, and whereas in order to support the health of students, the Child Nutrition Department has worked tirelessly to provide meals for students, and whereas the Millbrae Elementary School District expresses its deep appreciation to these valuable employees and commends their great work on behalf of our children. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Millbrae Elementary School District celebrates and acknowledges the accomplishments of its Child Nutrition Department and declares that May 5th, 2023 be observed as School Lunch Hero Day in the Millbrae Elementary School District. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Millbrae Elementary School District does hereby encourage all members of the community to join with them in personally expressing appreciation to our Child Nutrition Department for their dedication and devotion to their work adopted this second day of the month of May in 2023. I will also say that we are having a lunch in order to honor these employees. So the Director of Child Nutrition Services, Rachel Gigas, who's done a fabulous job in that department and working with that staff and ensuring that they are working tirelessly, and her dedication has been phenomenal. So the 5th will be a lunch to celebrate them.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Frank, second? Okay, got you. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, approval of BCBA job description. Claudia?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, President Fema. In working in conjunction with the Special Education Department, it was noted that a position was needed, and it is a board-certified behavior analysis. The HR department began the process of creating the job description. It was then negotiated with our CSEA union. The CSEA has approved, and it has been voted on by their members and approved on April 7th. And so we are bringing it forward tonight to you for board approval. If you do have any questions regarding the process, I'm happy to answer those. Or if there's any questions regarding the need for this particular position, then I will pass that off to Christina. Questions? Page 100.
Okay, we'll take a motion and then we'll have questions. Motion to approve?
Moved.
Second? Second, Maggie, okay. Discussion?
So I was just wondering, so this is a CSEA position. And they've
Correct.
already approved.
Correct. All of the negotiations has taken place. The description has been agreed upon, the salary range has been agreed upon, and it has been voted on by all members,
Okay.
including the head unit. I don't know what
So-
they're officially called.
The position description states that this person will report to the Director of Special Education, and that will be Christina. And I'm just wondering, there's a wide range of responsibilities here: coaching, monitoring behavioral needs, and it says supervise, train, and support special education paraprofessionals and behavior intervention coaches. Can you just give us a little snapshot of what that looks like?
Absolutely. So it's something that we're already doing right now with our behavior supervisor. She's been training our paraeducators in terms of safety care since the beginning of the school year to de-escalate, small behaviors, but also very big ones. And this person will be able to help support some of that as well. Another primary function of this position is to help support BIP writing, so behavior intervention plans in terms of IEPs for students with, that need for behavioral support, and also conducting FBAs, functional behavior analysis, which again finds the root cause of students' behavior, and that way we're able to address it in a meaningful and supportive way. So that's what this person's primary functions are going to do. But with that, they will be also working with the behavior supervisor in terms of overarching support for the entire program, and of course myself as well.
So this person will be sent to wherever she's needed at a school site? Or is the training done during PD days? Or just wondering, is this person, just trying to figure out where this is all going to take place? And where the need, I know the need varies from site to site, but sometimes, things crop up, just in the middle of the day. Is this person, going to be able to assist schools on an, at-need basis?
So that's sort of a few answers to that question. The first is in terms of training, especially with the paras, a lot of the training comes on a day-to-day basis. So we are training on specific students and on specific plans. So we have students, for instance, who have daily data sheets, and we're collecting data on a daily basis for these children and able to support early intervention for them. Now, that being said, paras need support in this sort of training, and teachers don't have the ability to train the paras and also offer high quality instruction for students. So that's where this person would come in and support. And this is something that also our behavior supervisor has really been filling the void with this a lot. And she would still be supporting a lot of this work, but it would allow us to expand and also elevate the behavior supervisor in her position and able to start working on more comprehensive cycles of inquiry for our paraprofessionals as well, because they have been asking a lot for training, and not like, you sit there and you listen to someone talk to you, but like really on the ground training and training on specific students, because they want to see the interventions working, and they're fabulous. They want to really make sure that these students are off to a great start in life. And so having this additional person would really help support. Another thing as well, and I know you didn't ask it, but I'm just going to say it. We have been able to support more students with behavior in Millbrae. So we've been able to keep students in Millbrae as opposed to sending them elsewhere in other programs. And that's been huge because it's allowed students to have a least restrictive environment and has allowed them to stay within our community. So I think that that's sort of a highlight that.
I will add that this position also allows for more consistency in how the behavior is addressed and the training, because we do have a high turnover rate in our paraprofessionals, and we often have contractors that we have to hire that are not familiar with our district, familiar with our staff. So this position makes sure that they get the training that they need immediately for the students directly in the classrooms, because we're often having to fill those voids with contractors that are not always familiar with our schools.
Yeah, absolutely. And the training for the paras is crucial. And so when you mention on-site, so that it's specific to that child that they will be assisting, and that is really important. And I just need a clarification on that.
And we also provide para trainings on all of the early release days as well. So our paras are hard at work working on trainings. And we target classes specific depending on the class need, of course. Some classes need a little bit more training just because they have higher levels of behavior in the class. So we target it in that capacity.
Sorry, quick question. What percentage of our paras are actually employees versus consultants? And are we putting in this position to train mostly our employees or our consultants, or both?
I'd have to look at the percentage. I know Jeff's trying to pull that up right now, but I'd have to get the actual percentage. This training would be to anybody that's with our students. So even though they're contracted employees, we're training them on how to handle and how we feel it's appropriate, how Christina and the team feel it's appropriate to work with the behaviors of our students. So yes, they might be contracted employees, but they're getting training specific to our students and the needs of our students.
No, and I can appreciate that, but if 80% of our folks are consultants and they don't stay with us, we're investing in training for them, and we're not necessarily getting the long-term benefit of that. So, I mean, it's certainly better to have that training than no training, but it's, I think, a decent question, just because our consultants should be providing people that are trained and should be providing their own training to make sure that they fit within our district as well.
Yes, correct. They come with training, but obviously with specific behaviors that they're seeing within the district, there has to be a little refining and then just modeling of that for the specific needs of the students. Because anytime you have behavior needs with students and IEPs, the behaviors are not identical from student to student, district to district. So they have general training, and then this BCBA position gives more specific training with behaviors that they identify and the needs of the specific students based on the IEPs within the district.
Yeah, and for letter A, it's really also too, when we're talking about the para training, it does need to link to the FBA. So students who really require this level of support, the BCBA would be doing an FBA, a functional behavior analysis, creating a plan specific to that student and training not just the para, but the class as a whole. Because it's not just one para that works with that student, it's an entire class. And we do it that way intentionally. That way, if that para is absent or leaves because of turnover, we have the rest of the class that's able to support that student. So that's the sort of the plan of action there. But their primary role is really looking at the FBAs, the IEPs, and getting down into the weeds, so to speak, in terms of how to support a student with behaviors. Because there is no training program that will be able to support all behaviors of all kids. Like, we really have to target the needs of the kiddos.
And this is help also for the classroom teacher as well.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And when you mention IEPs, would this person be attending IEP meetings?
Yes, it would be. They would be a participant, and they'd be also helping to support writing behavior goals for students on their IEP.
Thank you.
And what I'll do is I'll provide that percentage of the employee breakdown of paras, contracted versus district employed, in one of my weekly updates.
And the other thing that would be interesting going forward is to see how this position helps alleviate us having to contract certain positions out. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know that it would alleviate too much of that. I know that this is something that we've been helping to support this year. I would like to do it more next year because we were stretched very thin in our behavior department, and this is very much a needed position. However, I don't know if that would affect so to speak. I hope so, but I don't know.
I think, Trustee Ferrari, I think you make a good point, because if we have the support and training of the paras, I think it creates a good environment. They feel supported in their work and they feel valued in their work. And so, yes, it could create an atmosphere where we are able to attract and retain more employees in that regard because they have the support needed to do their job effectively.
All right, one final question. Is this funding coming out of our general budget, or is there funding left over from COVID and so on? Or did you already cover that? Sorry.
No, we did not cover that, but that's a great question. This would be general fund funding, because this is an ongoing need that we see. And we had 2 behavior specialists, and so we are not going to be rehiring. We had 1 vacancy in that role, so we will not be hiring and filling that vacancy. We'll be redirecting those funds to help offset the cost of this BCBA position. So it's not a full position we're adding, and we're only adding the difference of the behavior specialist up to the BCBA position, and that's what we'll be budgeting for in the general fund.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Possible future agenda items.
The consent
Oh,
agenda.
I'm sorry,
items that we moved.
I'm sorry. I had it right here, too. Okay.
Okay,
So we pulled from the consent agenda item 10.4, approval of dry coke proposal for further discussion. Lynn, did you want to?
Yeah, the reason I just wanted just a really brief presentation, Ralph, for the other board trustees. Frank and I are on the facilities committee, so we're kind of privy to what this speaks to, but I just wanted our other trustees to know all about this particular item.
absolutely, not a problem. So this area that we're talking about is the area when you come up Richmond Drive and you come into the district office parking lot, which is often used as a secondary Taylor drop-off spot. With the rains and the weather, it has created potholes in a section of this drive. And we felt it's important to get that addressed, because when we're doing the work on the other side in the main parking lot and main drop-off for Taylor, this is going to become more heavily used by parents dropping off and picking up at Taylor. And also it's going to be used during summer school when the parking lot is not accessible as well. So I just have a couple of pictures. This is what the asphalt looks like. These are some of the potholes that you see along the fence line, which is basically right in front of my office. If you just kind of get your bearings, that empty lot, the grass lot with those wood stakes, you come around the corner and you come across these potholes. And then you come across this speed bump that has a hole in the middle of it as well. So what I've also noticed is that since I sit there and I look out that window regularly, I see the speed of the parents that drive through there. So we're going to be installing a raised bump there, not one like this, but one that is an asphalt bump. But we're also going to be installing a second one. So this is the section that will be replaced. So you can see all the red section will be removed, and it will be replaced with brand new asphalt in that section to alleviate all of these potholes that you see within that area. And then the speed bump would be replaced with another speed bump that is a raised asphalt speed bump. Sorry, I don't have a picture of the other one, but if you can kind of visualize, you're coming in to drop off, you get to the fence area and you drop off, and then you come back around, you get to the field and you come back around, you have to make a right to go back out. I see people taking that right turn pretty quickly, so we're going to put another speed bump at that point as well to slow people down before they make that right, so we don't end up with a head-on collision with people coming in and people making that right turn, because I've seen quite a few near misses in that area. So I received an initial quote from one company of $48,525.75. And then we went out and got a second quote. And sometimes you just wonder how companies come up with such various quotes. But the second quote I got is from a company that we use quite often, Dryco, and their quote is $23,500. So it is my recommendation, we go with Dryco's quote of $23,500 to get that work completed. We already have a time frame spelled out for this work. So during the quote, the bidding process, we had a time frame of June 5th through June 9th for this work to be completed. That's after the 8th grade promotion at Taylor and before summer school starts. So that's a great window for us to get this work completed and ready for summer school drop off and pickup, summer school staff that will be parking there as well, because they have the front of the school and the parking lot will not be available.
Fund, comes out of fund.
140.
Yeah, just a comment. I mean, just looking at it, Lynn and I looked at it, we could see what we really need. The reason why is we're going to be using that a lot when the regular parking lot is being repaired. So there's going to be traffic in and out of there all morning and in the afternoon. To do something.
I'm totally for it. Have we approved the front parking lot?
We approved the lease-leaseback contractor for the parking lot, and then we will be seeing the different phasing models, and then you'll be approving each phase as we go along.
Okay, but we have not approved, I know we approved the lease-leaseback, but we have not actually approved any dollar amount or exactly what they're going to be working on and when, correct?
We've approved the architectural plans.
Correct.
We've approved those plans to take us through DSA, and then we've approved the price estimate for it. And then once we get the lease-leaseback contractor proposals, you'll see more information from the landscape architect, from the asphalt, and for the costs, the actual costs will be coming, and those have not come to you yet, but that is coming soon.
Okay, and are we still looking at the timing of getting this done this summer?
Yes, we're still a pretty aggressive timeline to get the majority of this work and the bulk of this work over the summer, which will carry over a little bit into the fall. So it'll be an impact to the beginning and the start of the school year, but the majority of the big lifting and the work will be done, and the heavy lifting of the heavy equipment will be done in the summertime.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I've seen many speed bumps. I've not seen too many speed dips before. So maybe we should.
This is a combination.
Yeah.
This is a combination of a speed dip or a speed bump, depending
Yeah,
on which side you
exactly.
go to.
And I believe before we vote on this, we should take a site visit to Ralph's office to take a look at this, don't you think, in person? Oh, you've seen it, okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, motion to approve?
So moved.
Frank, second? Lynn, all those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. Possible future agenda items. Do we have?
We had pulled also item 5, 10.5 from the consent agenda. We had asked if we could also.
Sorry, which item is it?
It is approval of the student services agreement.
Oh, okay.
I had asked when he came back because this is a IEP matter, what that is for. So that would put us in, I can have Christina speak to it probably, but it would put us in some IEP hot water. Thank you.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If we don't move, we need to, the timeline is time sensitive. So if we can address it tonight, it would be greatly appreciated so that we don't fall behind on any timelines.
So I need a motion to approve item 5, approval of student service agreements.
Motion to approve.
Maggie's second.
I'll second.
Second, Karen. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes, so the district doesn't have a PT, so we have to contract out our any PT assessments or PT services.
I know we've approved Measure Education before. Is this an ongoing expense?
Oh, the Measure Education is one is not time
That's one we
sensitive. So
tabled for
Measure
next
Education, we will move to a future agenda item and
That's
we'll
what I
have
thought.
that.
So what are we looking at?
This is yes,
Oh, that one. Oh,
student
gosh.
service agreement.
We did, but so it sounds like it may have been accidentally that way. So that's why we just wanted to be sure that we can move forward because it is for IEP requirements and students that, yeah, so, okay.
Okay, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, I still want to go to Ralph's office tonight. I think we should extend this as far as we can.
Wheeler's is calling.
Okay. So possible future agenda items.
So we will bring back the Measure Ed contract and we'll put
Okay.
that on district business and we'll have a short presentation as to why we're going to be, why we're requesting for that to be approved by the board and the need for that to be requested by the board. We can have further discussion. So that'll be a future agenda item we'll bring back on the 16th. We still have to solidify a date for the demographic study board workshop. I know that with Superintendent French being not available, we haven't been able to schedule that, but that's something that we're still trying to nail down a date for the demographic study and discussion during a board study session for that.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I have,
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
one
sorry.
other future agenda item that is, you've requested a couple times, but we've heard you. And so the maintenance and operations presentation will be for May 16th with the recent activity of the block parties. It just was a little more challenging to get that presentation together for tonight. So we're going to have that for the 16th.
I have a recommendation for a future agenda item. And I know we're in May, and this is the end of the school year. And I would love to get a presentation from our safety task force because, this is the time we need to go look at the things we've done, things that we're looking forward to working on this summer, policies, safety issues, things that have come up over the year that we can implement during the summer for the school year next year. And so I would love to get that presentation as soon as possible.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely put that on a future agenda item. Maybe as early as May 16th, we'll see what else is on that agenda and see how impacted it is. But we're excited because we just made another partnership with Sergeant Curie down with the Sheriff Milbrae. And he's going to be attending our task force meeting, our safety task force meeting this week. And so we're going to be in closer collaboration with Sergeant Curie and the Sheriff's Department in our safety plans and anything that we have. And so we're really excited about making that connection and that partnership. And so we'll have a presentation that includes that partnership, any suggestions he may have, and what our plans are.
Yeah, I want to quote Trustee Ferrario because she says, safety has no price tag. So our safety for our students at school is, Lynn has few things that and those are one of her quotes is safety has no price tag. And so for us as a school district, this is a great opportunity for us to kind of reevaluate what we're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Trustee Musta, for bringing that up, because I think that has to be an absolute priority. I also want to add that we've talked about our strategy. I'm not sure exactly how that goes on as an agenda or a special study session, but I think our strategic planning, we still have to follow up on data. And then there's also the ethnic studies curriculum that we discussed earlier in the year. And then I had a question on the DESA program, and I know we were very excited to implement that, so I would love a DESA update at some point.
Okay. We'll get it as much as we can.
We also have the school site plan presentation, as SIP says, that will be presented on the 16th. So we are going to be aware of that, and we'll prioritize and not overload you on the 16th.
Anything else? Motion to approve?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to approve adjournment. Second, third, fourth, okay, everybody's in. Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Thanks for all.